want to do Paris.
That's what I'm thinking.
By 2003, Michael Jackson finally had the family he always wanted.
I love my daddy so much.
A daughter, Paris, 5, and 2 sons, Prince, 6, and baby Blanket, who was just a few months old. Outside the confines of Neverland, the King of Pop was fiercely protective of his family. The children were homeschooled, and on the rare occasions they were seen in public, their faces were always hidden.
He tried to protect them from danger. When you're a celebrity of his level, which there was none at his level, you could be target for any nut.
The whole point behind that for Michael was to keep them as anonymous as possible so that they could have normal lives. From the outside, it was hard to fathom, but the kids thought it was just another game with Michael.
Something inside me, as a parent myself, tells me that he wanted to protect them from the crazies that are out there.
But that protection may have come at a cost.
Would you call him a good father by isolating your children and not letting them have other children around them, putting veils over their head, not putting them in school? It's a definition. Loving your children, yes. Probably being attentive, yes. But really subjecting them to an extremely weird lifestyle.
A spontaneous moment in November 2002 became infamous. On a Berlin hotel balcony in front of a teeming crowd of fans, Jackson briefly showed off a covered Prince. And then, for about 3 seconds, he dangled his infant son Blanket over the railing. Massive public outcry called Jackson's competency as a parent into question.
I have children. We don't go near the balcony. I think any parent would go, whoa, what was that? I know he felt bad about it, and it was just, he was caught up in the moment.
Jackson weathered the criticism, but he was about to face the biggest challenge of his life. A decade earlier, in 1993, Jackson was accused of molesting a 13-year-old boy.
These statements about me are totally false.
He fiercely denied the accusations, which went away after a reported $20 million settlement. In 2004, a grand jury indicted him on similar charges.
The basis for this investigation regarding Mr. Jackson involves allegations of child molestation.
He pleaded not guilty and went to trial in 2005.
I would talk to him at 3, 4 in the morning.
Tom Mesereau was Jackson's defense attorney and says the fate of Prince, Paris, and Blanket, who were 8, 7, and 3 at the time, weighed heavily on their only parent.
Sometimes he'd call me in tears. He would say, what's going to happen to my children? He was scared to death.
In June 2005, Jackson was acquitted of all charges, but his fairy tale home, Neverland, which had been raided by more than 60 members of the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department, was forever tainted for him. Jackson said he would never return.
People had questions about the place that he didn't want to be reminded of.
16 days after his acquittal, Jackson packed up Prince, Paris, and Blanket and left the country. The first stop was the tiny island nation of Bahrain. Then it was off to the greener shores of Ireland, where the family would stay at a number of estates, including this one, Ballinacurra House.
We just play normal games, you know.
8-year-old Paris became fast friends with Scarlett, the daughter of estate owner Des McGann.
They would be sitting in there, they would have their headphones on, they were listening to music together, and Paris would tell Scarlett that this is my dad singing, and Scarlett would say, well, my dad's got some music out as well, because I had a music store, and I had my own albums and stuff like that, but my daughter had no idea who Michael Jackson was.
When it came time for the Jacksons to move on, Paris had made a special picture for her new friend.
And it was an 8-year-old's interpretation of Ballinacurra House. And then there's the 2 little girls, one's Paris and one's Scarlett, and she said to Scarlett, love Paris. But she did that as a thank you to the fun and the camaraderie and the relationship that had been built up in the 10 days that she was here. And you don't get that from a spoiled brat, I don't think.
After 4 years on the road with his children, Jackson's career eventually came calling. In March 2009, he announced he would perform 50 shows at London's O2 Arena. It would be the first time he launched anything of this scale in more than 10 years, and he implied it would be the last.
Michael had a lot to prove with the London shows. Could he do it again? Could he still perform at that same level? Could he still dance at that same level?
The shows would give Prince, Paris, and Blanket a chance to see their father on stage. It had been more than 25 years since Thriller, which was and still is the best-selling album of all time. And it had been more than a decade since Jackson toured.
He had said he wanted his kids to see him perform. He wanted them to see that electricity on stage. The last time he toured, they, were not either born or not able to remember.
The family moved back to California, and the King of Pop prepared for his comeback. Jackson, who had pledged to never again live at his Neverland Ranch, rented an estate in Los Angeles.